What's going on, everybody? Welcome to tonight's broadcast of the ACL. We are coming at you live with the lower bracket quarterfinals. We've made it to top 6, and here today we're going to narrow it down to the top 2. Featured match on this stream going to be Galaxy Gaming taking on Next Level Esports. Esports versus Pookie Bear is live on the Salt Mine. We got both matches broadcast live to find out who will be the last 2 teams joining Conviction and Citadel in the top 4. My name's Gordo. I'm joined by TDS today. And TDS, draft's already starting to get started, so let's get into introducing our teams to kick things off. First of all, starting on the blue side, it's going to be Galaxy Gaming. Can we take a look on towards that roster from top to bottom? That's going to be Cozy, it's Krakodon in the jungle, Ariandel in mid, Honori B, and Kim down from top to bottom.
A team that has essentially expectations to be able to move past this round. This is one of the top teams that we have left in the ACL. Importantly as well, it's one of those teams that you would be surprised about them being down here just because of the caliber of some of their players. But you also need to remember that they just come up losing. If I'm wrong, they lost against Conviction. So they lost against the C2 team. It's completely understandable that ended up happening, but they are going to be a really tough team to go against, and it's going to be interesting seeing how can they perform here against NLE that, even though they are another team that is strong, they did come off of a loss before the last week, and then this one a tough victory against Denmark.
Yeah, definitely has had some close games over the course of the last couple of weeks. But now let's check on out their opponents on the day. It's going to be Next Level Esports. This roster, Fiji, Kitsuo, Robbie Bob, Sagewabe, and All Calamity. And we are already getting word it is not going to be Sagewabe in at bot lane. So we are going to have a different player representing them down there. I'll get that name in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, I was about to be happy that maybe Sagewabe was going to be back from his vacation to playing, but it doesn't look like that's the case. So it's going to be a different AD carry, but still, when you look at some of the names here, you know that there's a lot of potential. Kitsu, Robbie Bob, 2 mainstays in the tier 2, in the tier 3, tier 2 scenery. Then you have Fiji, kind of rising top laner that has been doing things really great, and then Al Calamity that has been such a promising support so far. This team has the makings of being a really strong one, but I feel like they have a lot of up and downs when it comes to trying to make a lot of things happen, and going against a team like Galaxy that feels like a little bit more cohesive in general, it's going to be a tough test for them.
Yeah, definitely is here. So it's going to be Cone O coming in the bottom lane. Yep. So we're going to make sure we get that name right. Kono's an E-sub on the day. I am not sure if those ban penalties have been waived or not. I will keep an eye in the background. They are going to waive those ban losses, so we are going to have full bans across the board. We did know Sagewabe was going to be unavailable for this portion of the tournament. It's going to be unfortunate for Next Level Esports to be without that bot laner, and going to add another kind of layer of questions for how this game is going to transpire here, TDS. But you can never count out Kitsuo and Robbie Bob. They've been playing together for nearly a year at this point as a trio alongside Sagewabe, and they've really been able to make some deep runs over the course of the competitions they've been a part of, whether that be in OQs or just last ACL, where this is where they peaked out, peak performers getting eliminated in top 6 back in fall 2024.
Yeah, we need to remember that peak performance roster was about to be left out of the playoff contention just because of some previous plays that they were really questionable, to say the least, but they were able to come here, and I expect them to be able to fight tooth and nail to be able to stay alive, because the caliber from some of these players is just so big. And even though Robbie Bob, if I'm not wrong, he wasn't a part of one of the rosters of the Mirage Alliance roster that did win once, because he has played with Dardo quite a bit, but he was not part of that roster. Neither Kitsuo nor Sagewabe. We don't have, I think the only one from NLE is Alorim, right? Because Alorim is on the sub list. So he is
the only former
ACL champ here.
Even sniffing this match. And as far as we know, he's not going to be in here. It is going to be Fiji. So who's in his first ACL playoffs, by the way. So shout out to Fiji and All Calamity, going to be the 2 players in their first ACL playoffs here, looking to make it a deep run to top 4 with a win today. Galaxy Gaming, of course, going to do their best to stop them here. And this is where we got to bring in the favorites, talk a little bit about our expectations there. I think Galaxy Gaming are going to come in as the favorites today. They're the higher seeded team. They've been solidly in that top 4 territory throughout the entirety of their ACL run so far, and for good reason. They made a very deep run in the OQ, and they come in just with really solid tier 3 veterans across the board. I think their big X factor that we're going to have our eyes on for tonight's match is going to have to be Cozy. He's one of the most lane dominant top laners we have in the ACL. I promise you he's making an appearance on my all-star ballot. I would be very surprised if he doesn't make his way onto one of those 3 teams when all is said and done. And it's going to be a really tough ask for Fiji to have to go up against him here. You know, Fiji, I think, has really grown a lot over the last year, going from that old next level esports team that wasn't even making playoffs, that wasn't even making very deep runs in OQs, to being a part of this roster. A huge amount of growth for him. He's kind of the last standing original member of that next level esports team, but
essentially
having to go a best of 3 up against Cozy, that is a whole nother ask, and it is going to be a tough one for him here today.
Exactly. You couldn't ask for a much stronger matchup to try and go against here for your elimination matchup, because we do need to remember this is an elimination matchup. So you want to bring your A game if possible today. You want to be able to outperform your lane opponent, and that top lane matchup certainly is looking like one that should be more than exciting, to say the least. I think bot lane initially with the on paper players was going to be the most exciting one, but without Sagiwabe, the focus is certainly going to be towards that top lane. And if Fiji is able to find a power point up there, you can have someone like Robbie Bob being able, and Kitsuo being able to play around you and find a lot of utility for your team.
Yeah, absolutely here. So that's kind of my big win con here for Galaxy, is going to be Cozy up against Fiji. That's what you want to look for. But for next level esports, the old reliable, it's got to be Robbie Bob in the mid lane, right? He is a stalwart, consistent performer in the mid lane at this level of play 110% of the time. I've never seen this guy underperform in a high level tier 3 match. It just doesn't happen. He's consistently able to show up and be one of the best players on the Rift. And he's kind of a little litmus test for pretty much every team at an ACL playoffs level. This is what allowed the likes of peak performers to make such a deep run last split. Is Robbie Bob says you got to be this tall to ride. And if you aren't tall enough, that you're not going any deeper. So he's a great minimum setter here for the rest of the team. I do think Ariandel is one of the players who has proven before that he can go toe-to-toe. He can hold his own. He can avoid getting blown out of the water by Robbie's mages and just held out of the game entirely. And that's what we're going to have to see from him here.
Yeah, the mid lane matchup has a lot of volatility in the sense that it really can sway either way, just because both mid laners are capable enough that it's not going to be like difficult for either side to be able to get over the other. But you have to take into account who do you favor more into these situations, because like I would say there's arguments that Robbie Bob, for his mage playstyle into being able to roam around a little bit more effectively and be a better support for the rest of the map, is going to be really ideal. But then Ariandel has some picks that can be really impactful just in general, and then for the remainder it's going to be good enough to be able to destroy the enemy side in case it does come through. As there's a couple of champions here, but I think it's
all right. Well, this is the whole draft.
Yeah.
So
well, there's one thing we're missing, because there's 2 Nidalees.
Okay, so we're definitely missing something. We'll figure that out. But once we get that changed out, we'll know who is missing here on the roster. But full draft completed here. Galaxy going for, all right, that's the Sivir that we were missing. And okay, so it looks like it is going to be a little bit of an aggressive start up at the top side for Galaxy. That is same old, same old. Fiji going to go with his Gragas, which has been a big kind of pocket pick for him all season long. Been a big part of his play in the top side, and the Nidalee as a counter pick. Well, it looks like it's a counter pick to the Nidalee, but it's certainly going to be playing a little bit more of a survival role here.
So a lot of that has to come through the fact that the body slam can block the pounds from the Nidalee, and that is almost always going to be ideal. You also can block the CC from the Pantheon, so there is good measures to try and make something go your way when you're trying to block with the Gragas. I think the main worrying factor that I see here for NLE is that they are playing Varus and they are playing Talia, champions that they're not the most mobile champions in the game. The Talia to a certain degree, but even in team fights, you can kind of lock her down if you have point and click or quite a good amount of CC. And Arian, though, is playing his Aurelion Soul. The thing is that this champion for later game team fights is going to provide so much control for the team, and there's good ways to try and arrive towards that late game. Plus, also the disengage potential by Galaxy is going to be great. Their engage potential is going to be limited, but their disengage is going to be good.
Yeah, they really are. So going to be a big focus here on that disengage aspect. See if they're going to be able to actually find the fight angles that they need to be able to get maximum usage out of this Sivir. It's going to be... This is what Gravity's kind of, I think, started to drift a little bit more towards as the season has gone on. My major criticism of Galaxy has always been that they have this baseline level that lets them take down the vast majority of tier 3 teams, but once they start to get around to this point, once they start to make a very deep run and have, you know, near equal caliber of players across the board, it feels like they struggle to start to find an identity for themselves where everybody is able to fill a role that they're comfortable with. This has been what they've gone for the most part, which is, you know, carry tops, Crocodon always on these kind of early game enabling junglers, the Pantheons, the Xin Zhaos, you know, the Jarvans and stuff as you get deep enough. And then the scaling bot lane for Inori B with a roaming support. It feels like the odd one out in this game is Inori B, right? This is not his more traditional style. And what we've always asked of this guy for the last couple of years has been just needs to be able to play a little tighter, a little safer, a little further back on these kinds of champions to enable both Kim Down to play the roaming bard in the early game and in the late game to be that reliable late game carry that Galaxy Gaming is going to need. That's where the struggles have been, and it's why his most played this season is Ezreal. But let's see how he's going to be able to do on the Sivir in game number 1.
So at least there's an attempt at change by going often into this sort of picks, and I think Sivir has that potential really effectively, especially off of the wave clear and the shield. You have tools to try and make yourself be valuable at essentially every point in the game. Ultimate as well, not taking that into consideration. But the only thing that I feel like we're always lacking when seeing Inori into this sort of champs is that he kind of lacks that death, or how to put it, like that killer instinct that you see him when he plays more aggressive champions, that he's willing to go for the kill and things like that. I feel like he kind of lacks that whenever he plays the more traditional on the back, trying to survive sort of AD carry, and I hope that he can find that perfect medium eventually, because that could be a big difference maker for him into how high he can go in some of the other situations. As far as for the other side, though, I think that NLE having a bot lane that is going to be not the strongest bot lane for them is going to be one of the most ideal things, because that means that they can, at the very least on Inori and Kim Down side, play it off effectively. Like, they don't need to hyper carry just yet. They can play it off as much as they can and then wait it out for them to be able to win.
Yeah, definitely here. So does look like I don't think this is the right order for next level esports. I'm pretty sure it's going to be the Gragas top, the Xin Zhao jungle, and then the Varus Rakan bot lane. But we will see when we get into Summoner's Rift.
Varus jungle, new meta.
I don't think so. I think we're going to see these champions in their more traditional roles. But going to be a... All right, we have encountered some issues on the spectate client. We'll see if we're going to be able to get back in here. If not, we may have to throw to a quick break to get that resolved. But should be ready to get onto Summoner's Rift in just a couple of moments here. Now looking on over towards the composition still, though. Robbie Bob on the Talia has been a big influential pick for them here, but it does feel like it's going to have to be about enabling Kono to be able to be a little bit of a carry here. He gets the high priority Varus in the bottom lane, a player that's a relative unknown coming into this split of ACL play, has been e-subbing for Sagewabe over the last couple of weeks. So they've been alternating between him and Arya being a C-Lol top lane main. So probably a preference here for Kono where they can get him, as it does look like we are ready to get into game number 1 onto Summoner's Rift. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. Let's kick things off as Galaxy Gaming take on Next Level Esports.
Yeah, we're getting in. The important part is getting in, even though this looks weird, we're going to get in. And like you're mentioning, it's going to be interesting seeing the potential here to try and get higher and higher with their quote-unquote new bot lane. Like, they have been playing with them, but it's not their typical bot lane. They've been tried, but it's a little bit difficult for them to put it off.
Yeah. All right, looks like we are having some difficulties getting on to Summoner's Rift. Let's throw it to a quick break here. We'll get this resolved in the background, and then we will be right back. All right, welcome back, everybody. We got it resolved. We are on to Summoner's Rift for game number 1. Welcome on in. So we check on out Galaxy Gaming taking on Next Level Esports in tonight's Full Fearless Best of 3.
Complication be damned. We're all in. We're able to see a little bit, and we're also seeing Robbie Bob getting attacked already, losing the initial trade. So points, extra points for Kim down, not a little bit more of damage, and not much is going to be obtained after that. But there is control for GG. They are able to even push pressure here onto Kitsu. They want to push him away from the jungle.
Absolutely here. And now we are set on up. A little bit of an early invade coming on from the likes of Galaxy, and it will be able to get some of that early vision on down as Next Level Esports forced to back on away. Early game power, that Bard and Pantheon not to be disrespected. So they're going to have that little bit of extra knowledge that they need to figure out where Kitsu is on out.
Yeah, they're going to try and make their start be as meaningful as possible. They will know that the Xinjiang more than likely starting up on the top side, where the Pantheon probably expected to start over on his bot side as well, although there's always a chance to play around with that. But not much deep vision was obtained even with the early play towards the top side, so there's going to be a nice attempt at trying to control it as much as possible as Fidget trying to trade, but you're not winning against the auto attacks from the Nidalee.
Yeah, definitely. So All Calamity going to take some of that early harass out of the bottom side. Him down on that Bard with the double ranged. Going to do some work to help on out against that Varus.
Yeah, making it really effective for them, and also his cancel potential against the Rakan. If there's any minion in front, if there's any wall in front, canceling out the Rakan engage is always really effective, and then you can counter attack there thanks to that. So the Bard here going to have a fun way of making the life from All Calamity really difficult, and then it's going to be on how much the pressure can come through from the side of Galaxy and what they can do with that.
Sure. Already an early push up top from Cozy, looking to keep that pressure on, making life difficult for Fiji. We'll see. He's going to be able to hold on out on that Gragas. I mean, is generally been the great equalizer, has had an incredibly easy time up against a variety of matchups. Now going to be a good early trade coming on through for Cozy as he continues to keep Fiji chunked out. Doing his best with the happy hour, but they've kind of tapped that down over the course of the last several years, making it harder and harder to just infinite sustain.
And forcing him already to go back here at level 3 is always going to make his life really difficult, actually not even able to back, so he's going to be forced into potentially losing 1 or 2 minions here. Just a situation in general to try and feel comfortable enough in the lane is going to be hard, although I think Cozy took a couple of turret shots actually, so making it a little bit easier on the Gragas.
Yeah, really good early damage, but not enough to force the Gragas out of lane, and as long as he's able to get some of that early CS going towards himself, it should make his life relatively easier. Should mean that he'll be able to scale into the game as somewhat of a frontline force. He is also going for that phase rush, so looking for some amount of trading power up against the Nidalee. Not going to be enough for the first couple of levels, but later on, as he looks to just prioritize picking up this CS, it'll be enough for now. Krakenon coming up, spotted on that ward. So Fiji very strong against dives, but I don't know if strong enough. He's going to need to be able to interrupt the vault from the Pantheon. You can see they're moving on up there. Meanwhile, a knockup being found in the bottom lane. Kim down, taking a big chunk as Grand Entrance does connect from the likes of all Calamity, and they want to take this further. Kim down, forced to back out away. Hail of arrows does not connect. And now here's the dive in the top lane. Fiji doesn't get the interrupt on the stun. Krakenot flashes away, but Kinsuo is here in time to turn one back. It's a 1-for-1 trade made by NLE.
Yeah, 1-for-1, 2 flashes for only 1, because Kitsu is the only one that ends up flashing there. Actually almost dying also Cozy. Royal was looking for him on the side, able to escape there with his life. So even though it is first blood for Galaxy, the trade-off that the side of NLE is able to get, it's still quite good to try and find some more tools in their favor. Now, what will we be able to accomplish with this though? Because Kitsu did die, and Lily did get the first blood. She's going to be even more bothersome for this Gragas up there in the top lane, and that means that if you're able to even push harder onto this Gragas, there's better ways to just try and control the game.
There definitely are. The priority always going to be trying to get that Nidalee ahead, try to get Cozy ahead for Galaxy. They've got their late game insurance policies, but they would certainly prefer to let Cozy just dominate the side lane, as has been a reliable game plan for them throughout the majority of the season. So far, so that early focus towards the bottom lane from NLE, not yet relenting in any kind of lead. We're going to start to see Kim down get opportunities to roam outside of the lane. That will give some vulnerability over to Inori B. We'll see if they choose to just keep the bar down there more frequently, or if they feel like Inori B will be able to withstand this pressure. He does have Flash Ghost.
Yeah, that really looked like such a bothersome matchup whenever we pan on top and Fidge is lower than half health already after taking all the damage from Cozy. But they are in the dragon, they are getting, thanks to their control, the first dragon of the game. The crops are yet to spawn, so it's a much better trade so far for the side of Galaxy, although they are pinging potentially for another turret dive here. Krakenot is still level 5, but he will not have a flash to try and play with.
Kinsuo already getting the fight started, gonna find that knockup on a Kim down. Magical Journey is there, they're just gonna follow through. They want to take this bar off the map, but will not be able to finish the kill. Kinsuo arrives, flexes a little bit, nearly takes down Kim down, but not gonna produce any kind of meaningful lead that's gonna stick around.
Yeah, but a similar thing happened topside. They were waiting to try and go for the Gragas, but in the process, Gragas didn't use anything. Didn't flash, didn't die. He used cask only, I think, and he didn't pay the price with his life, which is the most ideal thing for him, because he is staying alive. He's trying to farm it out as best as he can, and then on the other side of the map, even if they don't get a kill, they still find a lot of control in their favor.
Oh no, gonna be able to at least get a plate for his troubles as he keeps that push on going. So far, he and All Calamity doing a pretty solid job in lane. That was a big boomerang blade as Kim down comes in. Doesn't quite land the stun, but they're still going to get the help from Krakenot to chase Kono down and give Galaxy their second kill of the game. Yeah, the distance may have been good enough that they were able to put a little bit of pressure, but it does mean that even with the flash and the barrier, Varus instantaneously died. Really good kill there by Galaxy. They give it to the Sivir, so even more value for this AD carry that will push waves endlessly. And then this means also that they will have another power point, because the Nidalee is ahead, the Sivir is ahead, and even though the Aurelion Sol is not ahead, he's still farming comfortably well. Yep, and this is the part where Robbie Bob is level 6. He's got access to Weaver's Wall. The fact that Konar went down there is a small hiccup, but they should still be able to recover. We need to see Robbie Bob able to get out onto the map. Oh, Fiji goes fishing with an explosive barrel and catches nothing but a shoe, as Cozy will just continue to walk on through. Now the collapse from All Calamity. Kinsuo looking a little silly. Robbie coming on through with the Weaver's Wall. Going to be able to cut off a couple of members. Looking full Scar Ariel collapsing on to 3 and will turn the fight for gravity. They're going to Magical Journey all over Next Level Esports. 3 kills to Galaxy.
They didn't get the Talia, but they get everything they wanted there. Such a great ultimate, both by Nerby and also by the way that Kim Down was setting them up. Really, really good fight, and importantly as well, Nerby was already on the move for the top side, so it was always going to be a numbers advantage fight for Galaxy, unless someone died way, way, way too early. But it didn't look like that was going to be the case. So controlling the fight, controlling the way that it was going to go, and already controlling the game with early kills, early gold advantage, and also a little bit of the objectives that will be able to push farther into the base.
Definitely. What a big play there by Ariandel, finding a perfect falling star to enable Galaxy to wipe that fight. And look, it's pre-10 minutes TDS, but oh boy, is that momentum crushing for Next Level Esports, especially on this kind of composition. Staring down a Sivir and Aurelion Sol, they're both 2-0. This is not the
one already completed his first item. There's already a relay for the side of the Aurelion Sol, so you're going to be slowed even harder. You're going to die much quicker thanks to having that, and the Sivir, as soon as he hits the 3-item power spike, is going to be really, really strong. The point is trying to reach that point beforehand.
Oh, nice flick there from Robbie. Gonna get the follow-up from Kitsuo, but they're out of mobility tools. Already did the audacious charge. He's just gonna fly away. Can't match flashes, can't match astral flight. Ariandel is safe enough to absorb that kind of pressure. There's been a couple of good little moves like that from Kitsuo, but other than trading level 1 up at the top side or for the first kill, not yet been able to close one out. And there's going to be another one. Kitsuo gets the jump onto Kim Down, but Magical Journey right away. They're just too mobile for this Xin Zhao.
Yeah, it makes it really difficult for them to be able to try and collapse on top of the members thanks to their mobility, and also at this point that it doesn't feel like the Xin Zhao would have any way the damage to be able to kill them down. We've seen crazier things, but I don't think that's going to be something that will happen in this plays, as every lane kind of getting pushed on the lane that it's a little bit more control of top side, but I think it comes from Cozy just wanting to have complete domination of the lane.
Going to be Cozy's priority pretty much at all times, working his way onto that Trinity Force, and already 3 plates deep, making good use of that Demolish. I think he's going to probably end up with a couple of more before all is said and done. This is just not
perfect there.
Kitsuo to be. Tempered Fate connects onto Robbie Bomb, and it is another kill to Galaxy. Kim Down finds a roam angle and secures a kill for the team.
One of the easier kills they were able to find here in the ACL there, certainly. It's Temper Fade into point and click CC into this low from the Aurelion Sol, and it's just so easy for them to get that kill. Now with no Robbie Bob, he does have teleport, but with no Robbie Bob, oh, I think Cask was used here.
Yeah, did seem like it came out here very early. A really nice shot coming on through, but not enough to be able to finish off the kill. Not enough to be able to create any pressure where they are able to make any kinds of plays happen. Next Level Esports still just trying to slow this game down a little bit, but not for too long, as the Aurelion Sol and Sivir are just going to continue to become bigger and bigger problems. I expect to see some presence at this 3rd Dragon, and perhaps even at this Rift Herald.
Yeah, I would say ideally even just seeing Kitsuo be a little bit more all over the place would be much better. Just him trying to go for gank after gank after gank and make it so that his team can find more value in general. But it's easier said than done, and it's also important for them to be able to, as a team, realize these sort of interactions that they need to pull off and make them work out.
Losing a lot of momentum around the map for now. Need to see NLE make some kind of play out, but instead it is Galaxy once again who pull the trigger first. And 2 more kills come on across. Easy cleanup for Crackodon. Cozy shows up just to get his name on a couple more. And Kono and Owl Calamity will both fall.
Yeah, really good for them that they are able to not only allocate gold in the right places, but it feels like everyone is getting the right amount of gold at the right time. You see the Aurelion sort of go already in 1.5 item as soon as he gets his 3rd item. It should be good as well.
Oh, there's the falling star, going to force that long cooldown ultimate out of Ariandel. Nice block for Kitsuo, staying on top of the dragon. Robbie Bob flashes afterwards. They need these kills. They need this gold. Back over to
get it.
Finish off Inori B, and Ariandel is pinned back inside of his own blue buff, going to try to support with damage on the other side. Instead, Crocodile's just going to become the next target. There's the Cosmic Binding to turn one back over onto Kitsuo, but they did get Ariandel picked up. It was Calamity coming on across to pick up that kill, and they're going to make it a second. Fiji finishing off Crocodile for a third shutdown, and Next Level Esports get an injection of gold right back to keep him alive.
Kono doesn't die, but he was really close to that, and really good fights there by NLE, particularly for the simple fact that they are really far behind gold, or at the very least they were kind of far behind in gold, so they needed to find something to turn around this dire situation. They get really good picks, they find members standing in a really bad spot, and it all starts with Ariandel getting picked off like that and then just not really turning into anything more after.
Inori B finds Calamity, stops the recall. One of those shutdowns did go over to the Rakan. Probably not the gold allocation you would hope for, but still, getting money into Fiji, plenty good. Getting money into Kitsuo is whatever. Feels like we talk about Xin Zhao with gold every week here on this stream, but it will give Kitsuo a little bit of additional ability to fight things out, and it will do a lot to try to equalize the gold across the board. It's still a massive lead to Cozy, and a pretty big lead to Ariandel as well, though.
Yeah, maybe it makes sense in the long run, although closer for Kim down. If your Xin Zhao can kill the AD carry, maybe that's where it's worth giving him that amount of gold. Because gold-wise, he is still a little bit behind of the Pantheon in how much gold he has. And he's also not going to be the strongest member of his team, because Rollibob exists.
Yeah, well, definitely going to need to start seeing a little bit more global play from Next Level Esports. They need to be able to turn this Taliyah into odd-numbered fights in their favor. Here might be one right in front of them as Cozy still with a shutdown on him, gonna potentially get collapsed on. They're just gonna full set it on the turret instead. I don't think they can clear this out fast enough. A little bit of harassment connects onto the middle-y. Kono's here as well, going to be able to connect to Chains of Corruption, and they finish the kill. Shut down to Kono, right where you would want it. Well done there to get the Varus back in as well.
Yeah, finding kills back into their favor, and importantly, like you're mentioning, it's the fact that they are able to bring back members that were in a really tough spot thanks to those kills. Here, the Seer may even be the next target getting collapsed on here, though. Really quick reaction, really quick run away, and don't want to fight at all. But everyone is still allocating lanes in a really interesting manner, because they are sending support top side, they are sending the junglers mid, plus the mid laners, they are just moving around trying to do something happening. So it's a weird interaction or idea to play like that, but it's still something that they can try and find a lot of value with.
Yeah. And still not out of the woods here. NLE still do have a little bit of additional room to play with. They're only down about 2k. Not where you want to be at all with this composition, but they can create a little chaos. They can still turn some fights into their favor with picks onto priority carries. Plenty of pick tools available to them in this composition. I'm going to try to play the vision game a little bit here to try to secure those angles for them. Rollibob on the flank, threatening a seismic shove. Gets some good damage onto Inori B. Ariandel forcing out the front line on the opposite side. Next Level Esports have to be very careful not to get split here.
Yeah, they have to be careful not to overly force or overly commit in certain places. They also have a lot of damage that they can play with, so they could try and rush the Baron like they're doing right now with the Aurelion Soul, or they could win it just a little bit here. Not sure if Shelly gets a charge there. Okay, she did. So it's at the very least a charge.
Too late for the dragon.
Yeah, no, it's free dragon.
Oh, Calamity flashing in, gets quickness on it. Tempered Fate, though, connects on the other side into a falling star. Kitsuo and Fiji absorb most of the damage, actually pretty tanky, but now they're basically 4 versus 2. The rest of the team is trying to fight off Cozy on the opposite side, and they just can't do it. Cozy's all over them, taking the fight right to Next Level Esports. Rollibob falls, Kono falls, and it's an ace for Zero Galaxy Gaming. Clean wipe NLE off the map.
Yeah, everyone falls there, everyone dying on the side of NLE, and the 5 members from Galaxy standing strong. After the previous fights where it looked like NLE was looking back into the game, trying to get some more plays in their favor, just completely thrown away after that big team fight by Galaxy. And like you were mentioning, Cozy, the Madman, moving around so well, getting into the back, throwing spears that even though they are not one-shot spears, they are still her spears that deal quite a good amount of damage. And then the Sivir as well came down, or sorry, Inori be able to play that team fight really well, throwing out her damage and being able to control a lot of the space that he wanted to try and find the value with.
I mean, that is ridiculous. I don't even know what to say. I mean, in Cougar form, you don't get that many, you don't really get additional tank stats or anything, but he's just still invulnerable, is so strong while brawling in that form with the Trinity Force plus the extra health stats he's built up, and just forces them back on his own. Ono and Robbie Bob do not have the damage to be able to work their way through this top laner, and I really thought that once everything got blown out of BG and Kitsuo and they kind of walked away with it with 2/3 HP each, it could be an opportunity for next level esports, but Cozy says absolutely not.
Yeah, Cozy has been playing such a good game where every bit is a little bit of threat as well in there.
Wow, the stun connects, but he gets into the magical journey in time. All Calamity balling about that one, but Ariandel gets out.
Yeah, where Kim Down is feeling extremely happy about that. Really well positioned, really good way to try and escape, and it makes it so that they committed Talia ultimate and also Rakan ultimate to be able to do anything, and they will not have that for the future fight.
Definitely. And now the gold situation a little bit more dire for next level esports. Definitely going to need to find a little bit less likely of plays to be able to get themselves back in. Now they can still make picks, they can still get shut down gold, particularly on the Krakodon. The side lane is becoming all the more problematic. Cozy's still sitting on a decent amount of money. They are working on the Otacon with Cozy on the opposite side of the map. This could be an opportunity for them if they're able to realize what's going on. They figure it out. Kitsuo is in the area. Kim Down is marking on the other side. There's a falling star. Robbie Bob's just getting one shot. The rest of his team's not there in time. Kitsuo caught in the tempered fate. And Thornbound Otacon goes to Galaxy. Cozy once again finds his role in sectioning off multiple members single-handedly, and he does it perfectly well. As there will go move on forward. Kitsuo trying to get out of the back line. There's going to be Kitsuo knocked away from. They are able to finish off Ariandel with a dive in from Kitsuo. Oh, Calamity getting the CC here on to Cozy. They managed to finish him off. Krakodon in pretty deep as well. Over to Kono. And Ori B trying to stand and fight. Flashes backwards. Boomerang play for the rest of the team. But Kitsuo is just too big and can keep on keeping on. One more time with the turret, but he's not fast enough to get the audacious charge, and it's a 4-for-4 team fight.
Maybe a little bit too hypey there, Kitsuo. It was only a measly support, but at the end, oh wait. Oh, Kim Down.
Kim Down gets the unofficial ace there. Support beats out Marksman. Give that one over to the boy.
Okay, I'm pretty sure Kono just out of nowhere was stabbing on the side and looking at his what to buy, and then Bard flashes over the wall, kills you, and he just runs away. That is the sort of thing that you don't want to see ever in your games.
Yeah, I mean, well done by Kitsuo in that fight, right? And a little bit messy from Galaxy as they split their forces on multiple fronts and are not able to actually get through and take down the key members in proper order. Robbie Bob gets blown up right at the beginning of the fight, but Kono survives basically the whole time. And between him and Kitsuo, they're able to manufacture a pretty decent fight, all things considered. A little bit more shutdown gold back into their pockets, and despite the fact that it is a winning fight for Galaxy at the end of the day, NLE do collapse the gold lead just a faint bit. They're still down 6K.
Yeah, they're still down in a way, but they are finding really good fights. They're finding picks that are worthy enough for them to be able to commit in some of the plays that they want to pull off. As we see the Dragon starting as well for NLE, that means that more than likely
Cozy maybe a little bit caught here. Grand entrance connects from all Calamity. They do throw down the quickness as well. Chains of Corruption go wide. And I don't think they've got the damage anymore. Look at those boomerang blades. Cozy's right back in there. He gets finished off by Kitsuo. Now Inoribe's left to run the backline. Galaxy, what are you guys doing? As it's a shuffle back in. Kono falls, but it is in trade for Inoribe. They will be able to take out Robbie Bob on the opposite side, so it's a 3-for-2. Numbers advantage to Galaxy, but once again, some of the key carries there getting picked apart.
Yeah, you quote-unquote think it's a Galaxy fight, and I would agree as well. The main thing, though, is the fact that, that's such a good pass.
Him down is there in time to take up the turrets. That's a true support right there. Saves Ariandel's bacon.
Yeah, that is a really good timing there just to keep Ariandel safe there. And just speaking about what those fights could look at with some of the carries, NLE has a really strong carries that they can try and play with, particularly the Talia. Her controlled ground is just so effective for someone like an NLE, like a Pantheon, like even a March to a certain degree, not obviously like they can, but the control that it provides is so effective. And then as well, the fact that you're able to essentially just force kills as much as possible with how it's going to happen means that the carries need to be extra careful. They will have flash and volley buff, but nobody else has flash on as far as the carries go, so it can be really scary next fight.
Yeah, dangerous territory for Nori B. Blowing up the Sivir early could be a path to victory for Next Level Esports. Best chance they're probably going to get in this game number 1. They have managed to drag out just a little bit longer, keep just a little bit closer than it otherwise would have been based on a bit of a disastrous early game. And actually, this is catching the wave pretty high for Nori B. They might just make a move onto him right now. He will be just kept barely safe, not treading close enough to that little bit of wall that all Calamity and Kitsua were waiting over.
Waiting on the side, but now with how everything has transpired, feels like they are now willing to wait for the next objective. It is in 3 minutes. It is going to be Mountain Soul, and having those extra resistances as a side of Galaxy is almost always going to be great to have. But there's always the chance that there's also a peak on the side that starts Baron buff as soon as it spawns, and that's a point where it's difficult to try and protect if you're really far behind. Vigi takes a lot of damage.
Yeah, that's a boatload there. This is an AP Gragas, so he is going to recall. He should be looking to possibly TP top here. There's a TP from Ariandel just a couple moments ago to make sure that they can clear waves top. That's a fat wave coming on in towards the inner turret. Robbie Bot going to have to go and answer, and Galaxy see an opportunity to start up the Baron here that I think they're going to take.
Well, if I'm not wrong, there was a good stat that they're trying to steal junglers here when there's enough vision is good enough. So if they can pull it off here, would be really good. Kim Down is trying to play as like a backup so that there's no engage. Anyone engage here?
Up here, making a big difference, just wanders his way over.
Oh, that is so good there.
Connects onto 2. Here comes the falling star, and they'll make it. Kitsua staying alive for a little bit longer thanks to the crescent card. Turns it kind of correct on, and there's going to be a triple stun coming on through from Calamity, but no follow-up quite going to be available yet. VG flashes after him, but can't get onto any of the targets, and an Ori B stays alive for too damn long. Keeps on throwing the boomerangs until he cleans up a triple. It is an ace for Galaxy Gaming, and they say, screw the Baron, we're going right to the base.
Yeah, finally showing up in one of these more traditional lady carries, doing such a good job with the Sivir here, able to deal so much damage, and also targets are kind of presenting themselves to the Sivir to be able to deal that amount of damage. So working out marvelously every time, and now they will get this inhibitor more than likely disengaged because there's not enough timers to be able to push even harder. With Sivir, maybe it's a different story, but here you need to be controlled. You need to understand that you already have the lead, you already can move around the map. Just keep it and then take the soul plus Baron and you can end the game.
Yeah, looking like they should be able to close out here in pretty short order. They are able to keep on marching through. They are going to just be that mid inhibitor, so the Baron will still be standing. They got double kills at Next Level Esports. They got the biggest lead they've had all game long, but the game is not yet over. And the recipe, as always, will continue to be needing to get an Ori B or Ariandel out of the fight immediately.
Yeah, they need to be able to keep them as alive as possible because they are the main carries. If they are alive, the fights look incredible for the side of GG, but if they die really quickly, then running them down is pretty comfortable there, as there is a barrier here in the mid lane with the Gragas and multiple other members trying to maybe threaten like we were talking about. But because of how the waves are slow pushing on both sides of the map, you have to take a quick decision here because you cannot leave it so that you only get control of the river, late start dragon, and then not even get it.
Yeah, no, looking like the dragon is going to be the objective here for NLE. and it needs to be for them. It cannot give up this Mountain Soul. It's going to make it even harder for them to be able to make the kind of picks that they need to be able to close it out. They're going to start off onto the objective. Here comes Kraken on the top side. Him down, wandering on up through the river. The Dragon will be taken down below. Half HP. Tempered Fate connects, but it is only on to Kitsuo. Here comes the fall.
They're jumping in.
Big damage. The smite will be secured for Kitsuo, but what about the fight on the other side? Kitsuo's coming on the flank. He's already taken out Robbie Bobby. Oh no. And there's the Ace. 5 for 0. Once again, Galaxy Gaming, clean house in trade for the Dragon. And that will be it for game number 1. The forfeit comes through from Next Level Esports. They're ready to take it to game number 2.
Top 30 victory for the side of Galaxy there. Really good game, really dominating. They had scaling champions and they didn't even need them to scale to be able to provide all the value they were going for there. Really good team fights. The control was on point, and I like the aggressiveness that they mixed in with some of the team fights that they were looking for. Sometimes maybe a little bit too much, but they decided they want to go in some fights and they went in. Kim Down's Bard, really, really good. And Crackerdown's Pantheon, even though he did die a couple of times, I think that it was the right amount of just engaging where you could, so that you could control spaces, and then even if you died, you did the job for the team. And Norby, really good performance on the Sivir. We were talking about him playing this save rate he carries. He did die a couple of times, but I think he did enough damage that it shouldn't even matter. You want to be able to deal damage, and he was doing that most of the time.
Definitely. And you know, it's so meaningful to have a good Bard game out of Kim Down on this team this deep into the event, right? I think that's been my primary criticism of Galaxy all season long, right? Is that it feels like their bot lane is at odds with each other. And Ori B wants to play these hard, aggressive laners. Kim Down wants to be roaming around, leaving his bot laner to farm up. And there's often clash there. They can't quite execute on either game plan. Being able to farm up on the Sivir, be relevant later on, outperform Kono, who is, you know, a rookie substitute, of course, but still coming in, doing his job on the Sivir, arriving to the team fights, having a great game for Nori B, and an even better game from Kim Down, making sure to get that pressure on in the early game, shut down Robbie Bob early, and prevent that Robbie Bob Kitsuo duo from just wandering around the map, snowballing the game for the side of Next Level Esports. A really good game plan for Galaxy.
Yeah, overall, they had the right ideas and they executed on it according to what they needed to go for. And in a BO fearless game like we go for with all of our matches, having this sort of victory with champions that are not prioritized, like the Aurelian, like the Sivir, like the Bard, is always great to have, because that means that you still keep your pool mainly intact, or the main pool of champions mainly intact, and you can take some of the stronger ones for next game, especially if there's a chance that NLE goes for blue side. I think giving counter pick in this situation for Cozy is going to be even more impactful. We already saw him running down or running completely onto Fiji and destroying him. Now if he gets counter pick going into the next game, could be even worse.
Definitely. So with that, we're going to send it to a quick break here in a second. But first things first, I do want to give a quick shout out to Zen Market. Shout out to them for sponsoring the ACL. If you ever had a problem longing for that special Japanese item that you cannot find locally, they have got a solution for you. Zen Market is your one-stop solution for buying products directly from Japan. They'll help you buy from over 10,000 shops, as well as place bids on auctions on your behalf. Also consolidate all your items safely into one box that can ship internationally. They provide excellent customer service in 19 different languages, which is why Zen Market is trusted by over 2 million users worldwide. Check out the panel below the stream or click the link in the chat to try them out now. If you sign up with promo code Aegis, you will get 1,000 yen off your first international shipping fee. Thank you again to Zen Market for sponsoring the ACL, and thank you everybody for tuning in. We will see you in a couple of minutes for game number 2.
Such a tale of woe. Not too long ago, this village was a golden scene of hope. Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace. Restore our glory to live forever. dark regime. I know how to unleash eternal power. Lead us to order. I am the light bringer. To the edge of death and back again. We've seen the walls come down, but here we all still stand. We're not afraid, we feel like to fight over. To try to extinguish us. We have done nothing death. Hear the awakened world. Scream glory and scream courage. For here we stand in the path of victory. We made it through the fires, to redemption on the other side. We're standing in the burning light. Alright, 'cause we are tigers. Our future knows not your pain. Our past moves on to victory. So we still remain. Through our last free breath and back again. We've seen our scars burn red and seen them turn to flame.
Welcome back, everybody, to tonight's broadcast of the ACL lower bracket quarterfinals, where Galaxy Gaming are up 1-0 over Next Level Esports. And a pretty dominant showing in game number 1 TDS. So it looks like we are swapping up sides for game number 2. We fearless away the first 10 champions. Let's see what NLE can cook for us here in our second game of the night.
Well, they need to cook something good, because that first game, even though there were occasions where they were coming back, I feel like for the most part Galaxy was the ones commanding everything. So there needs to be something useful for them. They need to try and find something really impactful for them. And as we see already with the start of the bans, when obviously coming through the Aatrox as well, I'm actually just want to confirm, because I'm not 100% sure, this is not yet the Aatrox buff patch, right? Because
Not the Aatrox buff patch to my knowledge.
Just wanted to be sure.
We will see what they're going to ban away. Yeah, we'll see what the missing champ is here in just a moment. As we continue on through the draft, we'll update. It's not Aatrox. We will update with what the champion is once they get on in. As here, wait, let me see. I have the draft open in the other thing, so I can list on off. Take it away, TDS. I'll get us through here.
Yeah, so realistically, just trying to be a little bit on the idea of what may go for the side of NLE, and watching some of the champions that are coming through. Eventually, we'll get them all down. Particularly, one of the focuses that NLE needs to go for is denying Cozy the strong, being able to be one of the strong sides of the map. In red side, it's going to be difficult, but if you want to weigh the Gwen, I think you already did kind of a good part. I'm pretty sure Akali has to be one of the bans potentially, because we know that goes essentially Akali on just on the side, so there cannot be a way for them to play the Akali as the Yoni as well, potentially one of those conditions, the Bai and the Syndra. Focusing on the mid lane, focusing on Robbie, not a bad choice either. I think one of the main things you have to control on the side of NLE has to be Robbie, and taking away champions like the Syndra or the Yoni after there's already no Talia, it's a smart approach. Probably you're going to be leaving him with things like the Azir or the Orianna, but it's still good to try and focus him as much as possible, and the Jhin does come through.
All right, so the first pick, Jhin here. That's been a big pick for Inori B, but oh wow, he's going back to the source here. He is going to snap on up that Draven.
Yeah, but they did go for a Scion, which means that going through the armor going to be a little bit difficult for that Raven if he doesn't get extremely ahead. But I like Galaxy's idea of going for the Seer plus the Rumble here. Yes, you will have quite a good amount of magical damage, but the Seer is one of those champions that does have enough consistent damage to be able to kill some of the tanks. And then going against Jhin, that is in mobile AD carry, having the ultimates from the Azir and the Draven and the Rumble can be really good to not only reposition him but kill him from a safe distance. So there's a lot of ways to try and reach the Jhin on the backline without having to actually be there in the backline. I'm thinking things like a Nautilus, like Leona, even Rel are going to go higher up a little bit in this game just to provide more potential for this Draven to lock down and kill people as quickly as possible. The Pyke ban though, I really like. We've seen a couple of Kim down Pyke games. I think pairs up greatly with this Draven.
Yeah, definitely here. So, oh, okay. Yeah, so Inori B. All right, chat started confusing me about which team was on which side, but we got it. We got it all going here. It's Inori B Draven. Yeah. We'll see what Kim Down's going to pick alongside him. So we got to do the Kim Down style bot lane in game number 1. Let's see what the Inori B style bot lane looks like here for game number 2. Kim Down, I expect to see something aggressive from him here, as we're getting the picks a little out of order here, but that's no big deal. If they were drafted normally in client, we are just feeding them back to you a little bit delayed here. That is a thresh for all Calamity, baby. That's what I like to see into the Draven 1000%.
We saw that once, or I think once or twice in the ACL already. He played it great, by the way. So not against Calamity pulling up the Thresh here. Going to have great peak potential. And then the Rel there, we were talking about it. Engage potential to have a lot of lockdown, being able to control certain places really effectively. And then you also have the Skarner here, which will have that ultimate value that you always love to have, and will be able to control so much of what NLE will try and go for. The Victor is going to be pivotal this game because he's going to be the main damage dealer for the later stages of the game. The Jhin he has great burst, but I feel like NLE may face a situation where they may be lacking just a little bit of damage if the Jhin or the Victor does not like start great the game.
Yeah, I mean, these are some of the most picked champions for Robbie Bob and co throughout this season. Fiji as well, right? The Fiji Scion, Robbie Bob Victor, the Kitsuo Jarvan. These are staple champions for next level esports. I think they're happy to have a kind of pick-focused bottom lane here, given that they're still running Kono in the bottom lane, so a player that's not quite as familiar with this roster, that's not quite as familiar with ACL level competition. So going to be on a little bit more supportive of a role here, helping out in the picks department, and a big source of that DPS coming into these team fights. It's going to be Robbie Bob with the ball in his hands. It's going to be that Victor.
Yeah, going to give them the potential there to be the one calling the shots in terms of the damage. So if you're going to depend on someone, depending on Robbie Bob makes the most sense if you're NLE, because he is the guy that you can put the eggs on, and he is going to perform greatly. The only issue here is that he is going against a composition that may not have the biggest tanks, but it does have a Skarner and a Rel, and there's a lot of ways to keep him in place for an Equalizer or the Draven to just hit him twice or ultimate once, and that does mean that he will have a really difficult time trying to make it out in most team fight situation or in most fights. So you have to be able to have a lot of space for Robbie Bob to be able to deal the damage, and also for the team to be able to create this space in the right manner so that he can deal the damage safely. There's a lot of conditions that I feel like NLE have to meet, and the difficult or the lack of damage in some instances may be what makes a difference for this game and makes it so that NLE will not be closer to taking it out for themselves. For Galaxy though, I really like their combi in the sense that they have a lot of damage to play with. They have late game tools and early game breaches to try and reach that late game stage, and then they have a strong enough front line with the Skarner and the Rel to be able to take a little bit of the damage early on. There's good tools in their hands, and they have ways to make them work out. Plus a lot of comfortable champions as well. They have the Draven for Inori B, which makes complete sense that he goes for it, and then it's a counter pick for Cozy as well. He decided to go for this Rumble, and it makes complete sense going first and foremost against a Scion. Yeah,
absolutely does here. So it's going to be a strong matchup for Cozy. it's always going to be a strong matchup for Cozy, I think, when you're facing down this kind of matchup. I do think Fiji, though, has kind of made his kind of place here over the course of this season as kind of a little bit more of a weak side specialist, right? That Gragas, even when it's building AP, it's meant to just kind of survive lane. It's meant to neutralize. Meanwhile, that Zion, kind of in that same boat, right? Just pick up as much CS as you can, but if you fall behind 10, 20, 30, no big deal. You can even go for some lane swap shenanigans if you want. I don't know how comfortable Kono feels with that one, but still an option the Next Level Esports have available to them, and it means they can kind of sacrifice that top side, focus more attention towards mid and bot. Felt like they didn't get a big opportunity to focus bot last game because of how early things started to swing, but maybe they can have a better luck this time around.
Yeah, it really felt like it was going to be a bit more difficult to be able for them go for more attention towards the bot side in the previous game, especially with how dominated it felt like for most of the instances that happened, especially because the Seaver just consistently pushed the lane in a way that it was mainly impossible to go for a dive attempt or going against her, and then the ganks from Crackdown at the time were really good. So this time around, with a little bit more lockdown, maybe there's better chances to try and go for it. And one thing that NLE does have in their favor here is having a jungler that can early game just go into the enemy jungle and immediately start making things happen. Like Xin Zhao can, but with the Jarvan, you can go for level 2 ganks. You can go for a level, even, well, not level 1, but you can go for a level 2 ganks. You can go for level 3 and really surprise the enemy team just by the sheer amount of body that you can get really early on and how you can try and force a play with them.
Yeah, you absolutely can here. So with that said, wait on out that spec delay and should be able to get on in just about 90 seconds or so. A classic mid lane mage control matchup between these two, Robbie Bob and Ariandel. I think Ariandel, starting with that big falling star top side in game number 1 that really felt like it kind of swung the whole game, was able to outperform Robbie on his patented Leah over the course of game number 1. That's been a pick that Next Level Esports hasn't massively prioritized this season, the same way that they have the likes of this Victor. So they're doubling down on the Robbie Bob strategy. They don't have Sage Wabe, who's been a big secondary carry for them all season. So tonight, it's really got to be all about Robbie Bob and all Calamity on his Thresh. We'll see if he could be a big difference maker as well. I've been really impressed with this guy's Thresh every time he's gotten to bust it out so far. Let's see if he can work some magic in this game number 2, because Galaxy are like a train coming at him right now. It looks like they are set to steamroll the rest of this match.
It would be kind of ironic to say they're a train about to steamroll if the Sion takes the train skin, because like meshes perfectly there, but more than likely not going to be the case. That being said, I do agree with the sentiment. The way that the first game went just makes you feel that Galaxy has everything in their power to really just close out the series with how they've been playing so far. But it is an elimination match, and in this sort of matches, first game doesn't always paint the right picture. So as long as you can get your mind back into the right place for the second game, turn around a little bit of the bad choices that you did take in that first game, then everything can turn around on its head pretty quickly. And the same can apply for your Galaxy. Like everything you did well in the first game can completely be turned on its head if you're not careful enough, and you have to be ready to fight it out correctly, fight it out accordingly, and close out the series so that you're not forced into a horrible game 3 situation.
Yeah, absolutely. As we are on the loading screen, so should be into the game here before too long. No rule swaps from what we can tell. Everybody playing everything in its anticipated position. So we should be seeing some of that Rift action here in just a short few seconds. Hitsuo back on his Jarvan. The other thing to keep an eye on in this early game, I really do think he was one of their best performers in game number 1. Let's see if he's going to be able to reprise that in game number 2 as we get on to Summoner's Rift. Game number 2 kicking off right now as Next Level Esports look to even the odds up against Galaxy Gaming.
I gotta be honest with you, Gordo, when I see a Thresh, I want a level 1. And I don't think NLE is going for a level 1, so I hate them now.
Yeah. Well, the level 1 might happen. All Calamity gonna spot something out here or get spotted. Crosses over, doesn't see anything. They can't get any CC with these 3 champions. So I think All Calamity
they have damage.
Walk out.
They don't have CC, but they have damage. Oh, wait, the Rel is actually behind the Thresh. Maybe they can play it off here.
Backing on away. Kim down, coming in on the flank, going to find him. Scoops in. Oh, Calamity. He's forced to flash.
I like the idea. I'm surprised they didn't go for the normal path that you usually go for there. Oh, that's fine. It's Kim down.
Kim down. Good bit of damage there. They will disengage.
So it's word for word technically, because they did get a dip ward inside of the red side jungle from Galaxy, and then to get a dip ward inside of the jungle from NLE, but nothing much going to be obtained out of that. I like the idea. I'm surprised they took that typical path, or that sort of path that they did, instead of going for a more typical approach, and at the end it doesn't pay as much as it could have probably done.
Yeah. Well, and the laning phase begins. No early kills drawn. Early vision exchanged. Krakadon going to be spotted on his own red buff, so they have an idea of where that Skarner is going. And going to be tough for Kitsuo to not end up passing on by that ward thrown down earlier on by Galaxy. They will spot them in transit.
They really are scared of the Draven there. They are not even trying to walk forward. They know what Inorbi can do if he doesn't get hooked, so they are very, very, very wary about what may happen down there in the bot side. Though the Skarner is top side, so there's barely any chance that there's going to be any contact for now with the bot lane, and they probably are just going to try and control out the bot lane so that in case there's any gank attempt, Kitsuo will not be able to reach them.
Knockup connects on towards Cozy for some of those early trades. Fiji flexing those Scion muscles in the early game here. He does have a little bit of high base damage. Just hits level 3 first. Gonna be able to really chunk out Cozy here, making him feel the pain on this Scion versus
he may reach level 3 soon as well. So he's not going to reach it just when he overheated. If he gets the level 3 overheating, maybe he can try and go for a little bit more trading power. But now at level 3, your overheat plus out attack combo is just going to be much better. And I think you can take better trades against the Scion or both. Gotta give it to Pity. Doing a much better job compared to the previous game. Able to take much better trades, control this rumble a little bit more, and also do a good amount of damage.
Little bit of trading going on there across the board as both junglers make their way towards the bottom. Kitsuo going to know his place, take the recall, move up to the top, try to trade scuttlers that way. Krakadon on a fast pace though. You know, Jarvan can go for some of those creative clear angles, but he can't wipe the jungle quite as fast as these newfangled scorpions. So it'll take him a little while to make his way up. It does look like he will be able to secure this no problem though.
Yeah, no problem for yet. Nobody really trying to go for anything like big just now. The Jarvan just trying to clean up the remainder of his jungle, of the jungle path, and with the vision control that they do have on bot side for Galaxy, like Inorbi can do whatever he wants. Because they know that they have complete control about the situation here, and there's barely going to be any attention that he will get that he has to worry about.
Yeah. Well. Nice little hook there, connects on a Kim down for a good trade out of Kono. Going to try to keep it going, doesn't connect. The deadly flourish though, and that will let him get on away. This time, as Kitsuo's over the wall, he finds Krakadon, but I think kind of regrets it immediately. He's got to flash back out of there.
Yeah, that's actually a quick flash forced out of Kitsuo, and as a Jarvan, you always want to have your flash thread available to you every time if possible. But now, without it, there's always a good chance that a counter gank can turn into an effective kill for Krakadon on the Skarner. So really good play there. And now a little bit more damage coming in by Fiji. He's doing such a good job here threatening Cozy.
Really good stuff from Fiji this early game. His fight's breaking out here. All Calamity getting engaged onto the bottom lane, going to try to flay Kim down backwards. Ignite is down on a Kim down, but the returning shots will not arrive. They will both back away.
Yeah, they will go away, but the one that is not going away is the damage that Cozy is taking up there in the top side. They did force the Ignite plus the flash from Kim down, so there's a summoner advantage in terms of the bot lane play. The thing is, what can they do with that summoner advantage? Hooks by Alkalinity have been good. It's what they end up turning into that really matters.
Definitely. It's going to be that recall forced out of Kim down. We do get a little bit of peace for the time being. neither side going to look to push for any more. Kitsuo try to sneak his way on through, but Inori will respectfully back away, knowing that he's got no support.
Yeah, especially knowing that Alcalamity does have flash. So any sort of flash engage in this situation probably means death for Inori. He needs to be extra careful about everything that happens, especially not having any more vision around the side to be ready for any sort of gank from the side of Kitsuo on the Jarvan. And also the Rel is already in the mid lane, so he's by himself here. He has to be respectful just because of that. Ooh.
Yeah, DG making his way back up towards the top lane. They will continue to exchange blows. Hopefully we can bring up the CS numbers here shortly, as they will disengage from one another. Here we go. We can see a lead being built out for Inori B. Not irrecoverable by any means, but finding success in this early aggressive bottom lane on the Draven.
Yeah, I feel like the most important parts that we need to focus is the soul laners. They have their own leads already built thanks to good ganking. Oh wait,
ooh, Krakenon's gonna get flayed back. They're going to dive underneath, and they get onto Kono. Now Sting connecting through. Oh, Calamity trying to flash away, but he's caught underneath the turret. Kim down gonna shuffle him back, and Inori B gonna cash out for the second kill of the game. It's a 2K gold lead to Galaxy.
And B's for the blood that he gets out of those kills, because it's not only the good amount of money that he gets, but also the blood on his axes. That is going to turn into so much value now. It's pickaxe, it's BT, it's short sword, it's boots, and it's 2 kills for the side of Galaxy as Armindale. Oh wait, Kraken is here.
Hiding himself the enemy jungle again, slammed to the wall by Kitsuo. He's gonna collapse on by 4. Kitsuo, you got no business in this jungle right now, my friend, as Galaxy claim the feat of warfare and their third of the game.
He really thought he was doing something there until he wasn't, until he died.
No, Kitsuo.
Poor Kitsuo. Yeah, and the 4 of them collapsed on them perfectly, by the way. That was such a good collapse by the 4 members.
Yeah, I mean, just timing's a little bit off there. Thought that he had an angle to invade with everybody bottom lane. Thought that he probably assumed he was losing camps to Krakenon after that successful play bottom. Was not the case. Krakenon was back out here looking to make moves towards the top side, and that means he gets a kill on the enemy jungler, and now is going to be able to work on these grubs if he wants them, although Kitsuo is already back over here and working on them himself. As one, gets 2 actually, so the majority of grubs will go to NLE.
Yeah, the side against finishing the grubs, they do get 2 in their favor, which is a really good thing for NLE. But in general, the fact that they already have so many kills in bot side is what really ends up mattering here, as Fitchy trying to force the ulti. There's no... Okay, Kosi does have flash. He may try and go for the flash here against Fitchy, but just ends up paying the price with his life. I like the way that Fidget played that out, trying to respectfully just back away into then baiting back the Jarvan into that position and able to get the kill. And Kosi, even though you do get the kill from Kitsuo, he is really far behind compared to the Sion. He's actually like close to 15 CS down now.
Oh, getting pushed back here. Really difficult situation for the likes of Robbie, Bob, and Co. going to try to turn it back on towards Ari and Del. They do get the knockup here. Chaos Storm doing good work onto Krakenon, but not good enough. They're not going to be able to work through the double Giant's Belt Scorpion. This guy's got more belts than he knows what to do with. And he is able to just keep on walking away. Not dissuaded one bit.
Yeah, not going to be worried about a thing there, not going to enforce the fight there. And I like that idea of not trying to force a re-engage or force a fight back, because there's no real need to go for that there. You already are ahead, you have the lead in your bot side, you should play for your bot side, and whenever there's a chance to force a fight, force it with Inori be present, because he's going to be the main difference maker, not Arendelle at this point in the game, where he's 001, Birdie has any item completed, and he doesn't really have anything valued yet for himself to be able to fight.
Yep. No, Cozy gets an exchange on towards Fiji there, finds some good damage. But it doesn't look like they're going to be able to really push through on towards either side for quite a while now. Fiji doing a good job in this lane, though, keeping his CS up, showing why this Scion has been such a prized pick for NLE, and hoping to be the X factor here, right? The Scion, a strong mid-game spike, be able to come on through here with such a large health pool, similar to Krakenon. going to be hoping to be the difference maker in the front line, and that this Victor will be able to represent enough DPS for them to be able to find success. A good pace to do so, building up that early itemization.
Yeah, as long as he gets into a good group and gets a good amount of items for himself, that's going to be good enough for them to be able to control a lot of what you want to have with your tank. I will say though, speaking about optimization, Inorbi already completed his BT, so that's going to be scary to try and deal with. Oh, James by himself bot side. Oh, Kono.
There's Kono, left all alone, slammed into the wall, and finished off. And Nori B catches out again, and will continue to stack on this Draven. His signature champion coming through. Cozy gets down. He should be able to finish him off. Nice equalizer though. Fiji trying to get the Devolish proc off. Will end up trading one for one.
Wait.
We'll still be able to clear out the wave. Ariandel shuffles Robbie Bob underneath the turret, but Robbie Bob will not end up taking aggro. And both parties will move away, but oh man, Inori B is getting solo full plate first turret. This Draven's going to be absolutely massive. Is he going to get a whole second item here?
He may actually get, it's going to be pickaxe, not enough just yet, but two
Pickaxe
really strong components.
It's close.
Yeah, it's still a strong enough components that you think they may be close to a second item, so it's still a living hell for Kono, considering that he's on two components himself, but for his first item, where Inoribi is already going for his second item. And this is such a, just to remember a little while ago, we saw Inoribi Draven game a couple of weeks ago, but it was night and day compared to this one. That game he was suffering, he barely had any value, and he was on their top side, responding accordingly to bring back Inoribi. Now this time around, it's on Inoribi to really put the Draven on the right path to be able to win the game. They want to dive Fiji?
Fiji, 1 versus 3. How are they going to be able to do here? They do just layer the CC so well. And that Impale holding them still long enough. So much damage out of Inori B against this MR building Scion. And they just crush him.
Yeah, that really was a quick answer to the question. How well can he do? Bad. He gets completely destroyed. And I was expecting for him to survive more, but like you were saying, no armor, just life and magic resistance, not going to be able to take all that damage that the Draven has. And now he's going for another turret. This is going to be essentially 10 plate Draven. Going to get so much gold for himself. Oh, the lantern.
Yeah, I might have to settle for 9 plate Draven. He's only got 30 seconds to go, and the wave's getting cleared out. 8 plate Draven, perhaps even. We'll see what he can do. He's got 25 seconds. Either way, this dude's absolutely massive, and starting to run away with things a little bit here. This is kind of the promised version of Galaxy, right? We talked a little bit at the start of the night. Sometimes Galaxy feels like they can't find one identity. Somebody always feels like the odd one out. I mean, this is them just firing on all cylinders, right? Inori B can be left alone because he's so huge on his signature picks. Kim Down still gets to roam. Ariandel's on the scaling mage. He's the insurance plan. Cozy's on a carry, high priority top laner. Krakodon's all over the map at near 100% KP. This is the Galaxy that was promised. This is the perfect version of the team where everybody is just firing on all cylinders, and NLE are just getting strangled out.
Yeah, at this point, it's not feeling like NLE's finding the right place, and they find Kim Down, but I'm pretty sure that was not at all the one that you wanted to get there as. They're looking here for Inori B.
It's going to be all in onto Inori B. He gets played back in. He gets hit by the snare. They go with the Cataclysm and shut down to Kitsuo. But the shuffle back comes through from Ariandel. He's going to be able to put Fiji underneath the turret. It's a crumb. Here's Fiji inside the zombie side. Krakodon's getting chased down as well. It's 3 kills back over to NLE. Krakodon going to be falling, and it will be Cozy.
He's still alive.
Flame Spitter. Kono stays alive with a sliver of HP, and there's a little bit of life shown by NLE. They take a fight 3 for 2 and rock some shutdown gold while they're at it.
Yeah, that was the perfect fight there for NLE. They find the members that they needed to find, and I think a little bit of disrespect there by Inori B. Knowing that Kitsuo was coming, I think he waited way too long for the flash. I'm pretty sure he gets flayed into flash, into cleanse, not able to escape at the right time, and even with two items completed, one more than the Jhin, if he gets killed really quickly, it doesn't really matter, and they have enough CC to be able to lock down the Draven, so he has to be way more ready for the fight to be able to fight back and not die as quickly as he did. There's still a good enough lead by GG that it doesn't really matter, but there needs to be more attention from Inori for those fights.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this 2K gold lead is on strictly Inori B, so when they're able to blow him up early, it gives a great opening in the fight. And the fact that the first kill for Galaxy is Fiji, and that it's once the fight is already fully committed, perfect situation for NLE, because they still have the zombie Scion wreaking havoc on the back line. I think Kim Down actually ended up dying to a proc of the Hollow Radiance in that fight because of zombie Scion just running around continuing to burn folks. And Fiji still looking very strong in this side lane in his ability to actually match the Rumble for the time being. These are the kinds of fights that they need to find more of as the Rift Herald is being worked through, and looks like it will just go over to Galaxy.
Yeah, not gonna lie, Counter Big Rumble hasn't been that convincing so far against the Scion. I was thinking there was going to be a really good plan for it to work out effectively, but so far it's not that good, and there's still the value from the ultimate. I don't think it's a bad champion in general, but I think that the intended idea is simply not paying off right now, and it's mainly going to devolve into having that ultimate pop up whenever it can and maybe kill someone off of the huge damage that it provides.
Maybe could. The early exchange of objectives has favored Galaxy time and time again. They have already secured themselves defeats thanks to that first turret plus 3 kills. So are rocking the improved boots. Kim Down a little bit found here. Kitsuo not going to land the flag and drag. It's Al Calamity kind of left out to dry here on the flank. He thought they were making a play, but Kitsuo's already left. Here comes Fiji. He's making a play one way or the other. Al Calamity's already down. Sending on to Inori B. Big Cataclysm locks the Draven down with nowhere left to go. He's got the death mark on top of him, and they will finish him up with Chaos Storm. Now moving forward on towards Kraken out. It's a 2 for 2 so far. Again, Fiji, big value on the zombie Scion. And Kitsuo's not slowing down, trying to stay on top of Ariandel, but doesn't have any more lockdown for him. Still, Robbie Bob able to show up big on the fight. They are kicking themselves that this guy can't pick up any kills, but 2 for 2 from behind. Once again, not bad for NLE.
Yeah, not bad at all. I will say though that fight was with Rumble staying bot side. He never joined the fight, so Cozy was pretty much just there as a passenger waiting on the side. Okay, no, they don't fight Kim Down. And then that fight, crucially, Fiji with the knock-up. Inori not paying enough attention to that knock-up from the Scion, able to get that huge knock-up to lock down Inori long enough so that Kitsuo can come in with the ultimate. And those are the difference makers. Those are the things that, once again, Inori has to be careful of. He doesn't have flash just yet. If he dies, he's going to be punished really quickly. The team is going to be punished really quickly as
Itsuo and Robbie Bob getting collapsed on here. Robbie got his work cut out for him. Might have to blow the flash here. Might choose to die instead. Hopefully not both. Able to dodge out on the Cataclysm. Oh, Calamity lands a big hook underneath the turret. And it's Kim Down who will end up falling. Robbie Bob gets himself on the board.
Yeah, Cozy committed flash even there, and they cannot get the kill. The game is completely on its head now, and NLE are back in a spot where they can actually fight. Draven be damned. Who the hell cares about that champion when, even when you die, they can still find more value? And to be honest, the Scion pick is being the difference maker in most of the situations. He is locking people down. He's able to find targets that are important, and it's doing what we were hoping for Robbie Bob in most situations, creating space for Robbie Bob to be able to deal damage. Now, Fiji probably won't die here. He can just escape, and nothing will happen. He gets a turret, and the game is still free for them.
Yeah, I think this game is still on the table here after these back-to-back fights. 2 great engages onto Inori B, and then a great pressure absorb there from Robbie Bob, showing up on the Victor. We talked about how big he's going to need to be for this team in this draft. Getting that first kill, having all the assist gold, being up in CS, nearly going to be fully upgraded at this point, thanks to that additional kill and all of the farm he's gotten. I think this guy is set up to be able to show up if they continue to find these kinds of fights. But now, Inori B and Ariandel, both with flash backup, this next fight is going to be the hardest one they're going to have to navigate.
Yeah, and also, Robbie Bob, no flash. So if they are able to get on top of him, he will be locked down and killed. There's going to be a lot of positioning that is going to be crucial for them to be able to control and not give up a bad spot for them to end up dying. Also, just not it is going to be Infernal Dragon, right? Because like I'm not sure anymore thanks to the overlay. Yeah, because of the dragons I sometimes get mixed up. So it is going to be Infernal. It is going to be Soul Point for the side of Galaxy, which means that they getting that Infernal Dragon against a composition that they can burst out is always going to be great. But NLE getting the Infernal Dragon as well is kind of good, because we were talking about lack of damage. Infernal Dragon kind of plays around that really effectively.
Definitely. Ooh, Hook just barely missing here for all Calamity. He's been showing up on this thresh, starting the X Factor in this upcoming Dragon fight. Kitsuo's a little late to this one. They don't have Kono either, and it looks like they're just gonna let this one go. They give over Soul Point to Galaxy uncontested. They say, hey, our Victor's flashless. We don't have all our resources. Fiji's up top. They let it go.
Yeah, they know that it's a bit of a risky attempt there, but I'm kind of curious if they weren't expecting the side of GG to be able to burst it out that quickly. Because I think that had to play a factor there. Cozy needs to run away. He can,
This is
100%.
fully overheated Cozy here. Robbie gonna be able to get out with the blast cone.
There's maybe an ulti just to push wave.
Portal map for that extra blast cone right there, as I think Cozy might have been forced to ult or flash or something.
Cozy's taking a little bit longer. That was close. I'm surprised he didn't just ulti to clear the wave, because they did get a lot of damage down there in that bot side turret. There's no Baron buff yet. Anakin is the only objective, but with the time that they are going to take to go there and start it, I'm not sure if there's going to be enough time to just respawn on the side of NLE. They have Kitsuo running.
Yeah. I mean, this is where the Swifties come in handy. Gotta get out of here. Kim Down gonna be able to find the sun. Flashes away. Fiji blowing that summoner spell just says, I need to not get blown up 1 versus 4 here.
It's just coming on the side though. That's a great attempt angle for him to be able to go to.
A little far away from the team, but it is all 5 members up here for NLE. Cozy walking up on foot. They will start off the Thornbound Otacon. Hook comes over, does not connect. Next Level Esports looking for an angle in. Cozy's cut off from the rest of the team. If they can take the fight right here, they will have a numbers advantage, but Cozy's going to be in range for the equalizer. All Calamity trying to play away on the side, just trying to hold some space on the flank. Throws out the hook, doesn't connect. Kim Down going to get knocked up first, going to take
down.
He goes in there. Impale connects. It's only on to Kinspo. They've already been able to hold him down. He goes in for the Cataclysm. He locks in Cozy. Back. It's a 5 versus 5 front to back, and Nori Migo still popping off on the backside. Ariadel comes in for a big shuffle. He's going to get finished off on the bottom. And Nori B getting chased down by Zombie Cyan. It's a triple kill over to Kono. And this is a fight win for Next Level Esports. I didn't see who got the Thornbound Otacon.
It was
the
GG.
fight win will go to NLE.
Anakin does go for Galaxy there, and that fight could have gone either way. Ariandel, I think, a little bit with the ultimate, pushing them away from the Draven. And actually, if I'm not wrong, Kono tried flashed away into the on the side of the wall to be able to pop ultimate, and then Robbie Bob gets pushed away as well, so he's not like Inorb is able to get on top of them, and then in the process he gets attacked by the Victor ultimate plus the Scion on the side. That was so much attempted at trying to control Inorb there, but essentially every flash blown away in that previous exchange. Nobody will have flash for an upcoming fight. And important as well, the way that they set it up so that Cozy was going to be separated from the team. The equalizer was used, but it wasn't the most effective equalizer, and then it's not like he can just burn everyone down on the side. He had to reposition himself, and it wasn't the most effective possible. Krakenon is also dying really quickly. I'm kind of surprised how quick Krakenon is dying, and it's making some of these fights be more manageable for NLE in the way that they are able to lock down the tank and blow him up really quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it's a double percentage HP burn from Robbie Bob, actually letting him layer down that damage in pretty quick succession. And I think we got Ariandel here. Ooh, already did use the flash, but does still have the shuffle. Kitsuo not going to commit the Cataclysm right there. You know, call it cope if you want, TDS, but I think all in all things considered, that fight was a great sign for Next Level Esports. I think it was important to come out ahead. Fiji's going the wrong direction. Thinks he can stay alive for long enough. The rest of the team coming up to collapse on it. This is getting wacky. He's trying to TP away. Krakenon's going to show up there. Not going to be able to stop him. And Fiji, with some Houdini stuff, gets out of there.
Okay, I'm not sure what Galaxy were trying to do there, because Ariel TP topside. Oh, wait, Kitsuo.
Is this the big brain pick? I mean, Kim Down's caught. He's got to crash down over the wall. And now they got an inside track on the mid. I mean, NLE, I guess they big brained this? I don't even know what to say.
I'm kind of in the contrary. I think GG a small brain.
Okay, I'll believe that as they dive into the back line. No follow up there. Kitsuo knows he's in on the flank. It's a beautiful equalizer. And this is all gone wrong, TDS. I caster cursed it. I praised NLE at the wrong moment in Gravity, or Galaxy rather. They collapse and they completely demolish the fight. Fiji, the big frontliner, is the last one standing in full HP. This is the complete opposite of what they wanted to happen.
Yeah, I take it back. They actually big brained it because it looked so small brain that it actually turned big brain in the process. Yeah, it was perfectly done there. They are able to collapse on everyone in that position, and it's really important to remember. I don't think he does it. No.
Yeah, I know. The perfect thing to happen after this last sequence of plays, but no, you're right. He's
good maneuver there.
On a wave here or something.
No, Enerv is coming on the side, so like he's going to die. It's just when will he die?
Hopefully not too much later. As Dragon is
the Dragon is actually important. He's dead. Okay, he just died. Yeah, he just died to wait.
But he soloed it with Kitsuo an inch away.
That's actually so painful because Kitsuo arrived at the end there, so he's not even able to see. He sees as Ariandel takes it down and then just goes away. So he just laughs in his face as he takes the objective and then goes back to base. That's what just happened to Kitsuo in that situation. Has to hurt.
My head's in my hands right now, TDS. I mean, there's a game 3 in my eyes. I don't even know what to tell you. They just...
So the game
crazy
3
back and forth. Fiji gets away, and Fiji's escape somehow just deducted 20 IQ points from everyone else on the map. And now here we are.
The thing there to take back from that team fight is that nobody had flash. That meant that if Kitsuo goes too deep, nobody can follow him. And even if he gets Inori B down, they are fighting under a turret. You know, actually, this is the perfect representation of the, I think it's 325 gold or 350 gold that the turret gets. Oh, there we go. He's dead.
Blown up big by Ariandel, and it's a beautiful cataclysm forcing the platform. Immediately, he's got the Chaos Storm on top and forcing it back. Look at everybody on top of the equalizer. Cozy gets the Dream Rumble Ultimate and melts next level esports. It's an ace for Galaxy, and it might just stamp their ticket to top 4.
It's an ace to Galaxy. It's essentially a game victory for the side of Galaxy, and it's also a roasted barbecue that NLE didn't want to be a part of because they got immediately burned down in that fight. They have enough minions, they have enough damage, they have enough time, they have enough to be able to move forward in the ACL. I swear I was expecting a game 3, then I got into a game 2, then maybe a game 3 once again with that pick from Calamity, but they just got burned.
And that is it. Galaxy will move on to top 4. They will move on to the lower bracket semifinals. They will get themselves a best of 5 in this season of the ACL, and we will bid farewell to Next Level Esports. Kitsuo, Ravibob, Sagewabe, back-to-back ACLs, back-to-back top 6, but no further today. Galaxy Gaming will be the ones moving on.
Yeah, and I will say deservedly so, but the game 2, like, if anyone just comes in to watch the game 2, there's doubts that will come through. But please go back and watch game 1. I think game 1 is a perfect example of what we want to see from Galaxy and what they want to see from themselves. And then game 2 is what happens when you... How to put it? Like game 2 is what happens when you pick Draven. I'll leave it at that. And yeah, it just come through in a really weird manner, but they are able to win it out. And then for the side of NLE, I just want to say it's unlucky that they weren't able to play with their starting AD carry, but I want to give props to Kono. I think for how game 2 went, he managed it out really well. Like, he got really good kills. He played it off effectively. He was finding value for the team. And same for Fiji. That game 2 Sion, I think he handled Cozy really, really well. So I think both players should take it really well. This lose, it can happen, but the important part is coming back strong after it. So huge props to them. And then for the other members, they are accustomed to 6th place in the ACL, but I'm sure they can come back as well and come back stronger. I believe in them.
Yeah, absolutely here. And I mean, and you know, you say they're used to it, but for Fiji and All Calamity, this was their first ACL playoffs.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's something to be proud of for sure. Great resume buff here for this run. Really great stuff for what they've shown on Next Level Esports throughout this season, especially as they've experienced some roster turnover over the rest of the team, right? Starting off the different mid lane, coming on in later into the season, Robbie Bob, as they come on into playoffs and having themselves a not too shabby playoff run at it as well. Again, top 6 out of the 16 teams in playoffs. A very, very good run, defeating some other very, very good teams along the way. Hope to see them back for the next season. Gravity or Galaxy. I keep two different, like, I mean, two different space terms. I know gravity's not just for space, but you get what I mean. Galaxy Gaming. Gravity Gaming.
Aren't their logos like purple as well?
They're both purple. They're both circles. It's tough. Galaxy.
They got the same graphic designer. That's why.
I mean, I can make no comments about that. But Galaxy, moving on to top 4. They will play up against the winner of Day Esports versus Pookie Bear this Friday. That will be our very first best of 5 here on the ACL. So we'll start 1 hour earlier for everyone who's been tuned in for every week thus far. We will be starting at 7 Eastern this Friday, so that we can catch the full best of 5 action without keeping anybody up too late into the night. So you're definitely going to want to tune in for that one. We're going to have upper finals on this stream. We will have lower semis on the Salt Mine. So it'll be Citadel versus Conviction Star here this Friday, barring any reschedules. Definitely going to want to check that out, and we're definitely going to want to see you there. After this, we are going to throw you guys over to the Salt Mine, I do believe, where Pookie Bears and Esports are going to game number 3. Definitely going to want to check that one out and see who the opponents for Galaxy will be coming up on this Friday. But that is going to do it for tonight's stream here on Aegis. Shout out once again to Zen Market. Reminder, that is code Aegis for 1,000 yen off your first order. Thank you, everybody, for tuning on in from myself, TDS. A big shout out to Mr. Fantastic coming in, emergency substituting on the production. Big MVP for tonight's stream. Couldn't have done it without him coming on up clutch. Thank you, everybody, and we will see you all next time. Remember, this Friday, we'll see you an hour earlier.